Today is the 138th anniversary of a riot that took place January 13th, 1874 in Tompkins Square. The riot has as its background an enormous depression that began in 1873. The first major industrial depression in the United States. It lasts 5 years. So financial hard times, much like the country has been beset with since 2008. Tompkins Square Park was the center of the Lower East Side, which is where Italian, Irish, Jewish workers lived, immigrants lived. If you had a job at all, your wages were cut 33%. Rents were not necessarily cut. Times were very hard. Many people did lose jobs, and they organized and for the modest demand of jobs. The other was for an 8-hour day, something we all take for granted now, but then was seen by capital as an outrageous demand. Tompkins Square riot was the largest protest that had occurred at that time. 7,000 people gathered in the square, and 1,600 police were there as well. It's peaceful, but from their perspective, it's an illegal march, and they go in on horseback and with clubs. They beat up a lot of people. 46 are arrested, many are hospitalized. It's a brutal, brutal event. The result of the protest and the police battering are probably twofold and very different. On the one hand, it was increased police presence, increased surveillance, increased limits for the first time on free speech and public gatherings that had never occurred in New York City. On the other hand, it galvanized the working class. Zuccotti Park was not a labor movement strike. It did have, it should be noted, the support of the labor movement. So while it's true labor was not there, it's important to understand that the labor movement that was organizing in 1873 was really a movement of the unemployed. And that substantially was who people there often were. They were young people who were either unemployed or were facing a labor market, coming out with university educations and being told suddenly that, there weren't jobs available for everybody. Of course, Zuccotti Park, that story is yet to be finished. So it's very hard to know what form it's going to take, but it seems clear, given the levels of inequality in New York and in the country, which are larger and greater than they've been in a century, it's hard not to presume that that's not going to have an impact.